On January 2nd, 2014, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2014, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, attached to the Hour Town, the Record, the Community News, and the county newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Everyone, please rise for the flag salute, which I'll ask the scouts to do. Right there. Okay. Come on. Here you go. All right. Right. Let me see.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start tonight's meeting, I just want to take a moment to take some time out and remember Craig Tuchek, who passed away recently. He's 48 years old. He's a softball, soccer, and baseball coach in town, the brother and brother-in-law of two of our police officers in town. He actually purchased his home from me on Maywood Avenue many years ago. Just a really genuinely nice human being, gentle guy. Again, he was only 48 years old, and he leaves behind a very young wife and two very young children who we should keep in our thoughts and prayers. And also to remember Clifford Winnie, who passed away, the son of Joe and former Councilwoman Joan Winnie, passed away this past week. So let's remember the Winnie family as well. Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Padavano.
Here.
Council members: Lindenau.
Here.
Maroney.
Here.
Eisenberg.
Here.
Nesser.
Here.
Fabre.
Here.
Ballerini.
Here.
Borough Attorney Ronald Dario.
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Paulin is here, and Borough Administrator Roberta Stern is absent.
Mr. Borough Engineer Greg Pleniak, please come forward and give your monthly report.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and Council, Greg Pleniak, Negley Engineering Associates. Tonight we issued an engineer's report dated October 10th for tonight's meeting. The first item is the Economic Recovery Program, which relates to the Spring Valley Avenue pump station. I know the Borough Attorney is diligently trying to acquire the easements that are located on the property. Then we would move forward with the bid documents and permitting for the project. The second project within our list on page 2 is the East Hunter, Spring Valley Road, West Fairmont Avenue project. Construction related to those three projects is substantially completed, other than a few punch list items. The one open aspect of the project relates to the change order, which is authorized by the governing body for Spring Valley Avenue between Spring Valley Road and the borough premise border. We've contacted the contractor. They intend to construct the improvements either late this week, pending weather conditions, or it would be next week if the weather didn't hold out, which it's anticipated not to within the next few days. The third item relates to the PSC&G improvements on Central Avenue. During the week of October 6th, PSC&G is performing work in between Maywood Avenue and the Esplanade, and are related to steel conduit construction, and that work will continue in the future. The fourth item relates to the Maywood Avenue streetscape project. The borough had received a letter from the governor's office as it related to acquiring $149,000 in funding for the streetscape. Our office issued a proposal to prepare construction documents, and we're prepared to do so once the governing body authorizes. The fifth item on the list relates to the Memorial Park project. One item relates to the retaining wall by the Little League field, which faces Spring Valley Road. This past week, a block was selected to match the existing retaining wall block at the dog park so that it would be consistent along that Spring Valley frontage. We've contacted the contractor, and they intend to begin construction the week of October 28th, so you should see some activity at that point in time as it relates to it. We also acquired a quote as it related to replacing the lights within the parking lot along Spring Valley Road, and that was submitted for consideration by the governing body also. The other item, the following item, item 6 within our report, relates to Bergen County open space, and there was a call for projects. Our office would be glad to aid if the borough would like to submit a grant. One item that would be of utmost interest as it relates to it is at the first meeting in November, a public hearing would need to be held, which would need to be noticed 15 days prior, should the borough wish to file a grant. In addition, the package itself would be due at Bergen County on Halloween, October 31st. The seventh item on the list is the DOT Municipal Aid Grant. As authorized by the governing body, our office submitted a grant application for a parkway in Jersey Avenue. That was submitted actually last Friday to meet this, today's deadline. And the final item on the list relates to the West Pleasant Avenue Traffic Circulation Project. Again, the borough had received a grant in the amount of $30,000 from DOT to address that work. The signed grant agreement by both the borough and also the state was received back by the DOT. Our office is preparing a solicitation since it's below the bid threshold for the improvements. We will be soliciting contractors by the end of this week. Anticipate receiving results the following week so that at the October, I believe it's 28th meeting, the governing body would have the ability to act if it chose to do so, and then construction will proceed thereafter. I'd be glad to address any questions or comments related to the report or other items by the governing body.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Question, Mr. Pleniak. Since we have so many members of our soccer playing constituency here, the retaining wall work, I believe it was supposed to begin at the end of October. Will that affect the playing surface of the field itself? Because there are events scheduled for that field.
It would not. What will be occurring is where the fence, the Little League field fence is located, that railroad tie retaining wall would be removed. The fence itself would be removed in that area because there would be some tie back below grade to ensure that the wall is stable, but it should be minimal impact on that Little League field.
Should we have some sort of a barricade or to keep children away from that area?
Oh, the contractor will be responsible to install that.
Okay. And when is this going to start?
The 28th. It should start the 28th and be completed, depending, I'm not aware of what your practice schedule is with respect to the field, but it will be completed prior to the following weekend if events occur on the weekend.
Oh, so it's only during the week?
It would be during the week. It's a very quick and rapid-moving project.
Most of the events are scheduled for the weekend.
Anybody else have any questions for the engineer? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is CFO Chair.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That time of year, January,
Responded to, give us a 90% compliance rate with the best practices. There are a couple that I would just point out to you. They change each year, so they're not exactly the same. But interestingly, on number 9, asked this time about the assessed values to market value in your municipality, presently less than 65%. You know that in Bergen County, if you ever got down below 90, the county's going to order you to do a reval or a reassessment. We're around 92.5, so that means we have a very strong tax base in relation to the market. So this is one of the questions that we were happy to answer, not applicable because we're not down below 65%. On the repeat questions, I believe that we were pretty consistent from the prior year. You did have a no in the annual audit filing for 2013. That has not occurred at this point in time. But it's, a small question in relation to all the other yeses, so we do have a very good rating for completing the workbook. The health insurance section of the questionnaire, since moving to state health benefits, a lot of the questions are geared towards state health benefit towns, so we're taking some of the benefit, some of the advantage of moving to state health benefits. That's in the 30s. So we do not have a TPA anymore with regard to state health benefits specifically, and you're still a member of the Joint Insurance Fund for the property and casualty, so those things all play to the benefit of the municipality. The one question they do ask in this year that they hadn't asked in the prior year is, has your municipality explored all the necessary actions to end payments in lieu of health benefits? You know that if you opt out, there's a certain percentage that you're allowed to pay the person by law. They're obviously hinting to us that this is something that we want you to consider with regard to negotiations, to take that part of it out through negotiations. We haven't done that, and the response was prospective, but we can certainly see what happens in negotiations with regard to that. And finally, the other one that they seem to be hitting on has to do with the workers' compensation law. We currently provide 100% of salary if you're injured on duty, and the statute allows you to go to 70%. I would think that you would have to negotiate that within the contracts, because that's always been your case. That one is 46. And as I said before, we had a very, very strong score, so we will not be losing any state aid or even being considered for that. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them now.
Yeah, Chuck, with regard to 45, what should we be doing around, in your opinion, what should we be doing around light duty? The issue's come up a couple times.
I think that the question of light duty really wraps around this. Light duty is a temporary situation. Light duty is not intended to be a long-term solution. And as long as you have some short-term considerations in it, I think it probably works pretty well. In some cases, police departments have difficulty with it because you're a police officer 24/7, and it's hard to do light duty in the police department. But other than that, there has to be a temporary piece to that policy, and I think that if any place the municipalities have failed, not just Maywood, but many, they treat light duty as, it can be for a long term, and it really shouldn't be. Depending on the injury, I don't think anything past 6 months. I mean, that'd be the max in my mind.
When does this have to be in?
By the 17th. It gets filed electronically.
Chuck, would ask, you have 3 days to set this down. I filed in the last
You can certainly ask questions. The filing requirement is the filing requirement by the CFO, not by the mayor and council. Okay.
How much changed since the last report that we filed?
Usually about 20% of the questions are either enhanced or changed, and they continue to rotate them through. So of the 50, there's 10 questions that are different or have different nuances to them, and then you have a lot of questions that are the same.
And I apologize, I know you said you started off with our score. What was our score?
90%.
And what was the last time?
I did not bring that. I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you this. If your rating score was below 80, you lost 20%, which equals 1% of total aid. So you would have a reduction of your state aid by 1%.
So I guess the question, because you kind of went through this pretty quick before I got a chance to catch up with you on.
That's okay.
Was the question 39 with regards to the health benefits.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
where are we lacking in regards to this?
Well, I don't believe you are. I don't believe you are lacking. Remember how the state uses this. They use this to push municipalities towards positions they want you to be in. So a number of years ago, when they started to ask questions about longevity, and you've all responded to that, like many towns have, and worked through not having longevity for new employees. It was one of the things. Now we see them pushing towards necessary actions to end payments in lieu of health benefits. Right now, if you and your wife both have health benefits and you're a municipal employee, you can opt out and receive funding for opting out of the health benefits. They're suggesting that your policy be, if you opt out, you don't get anything.
But who decides contractually, who decides those that we're contractually obligated to? Do we make that offer to everybody?
Our borough ordinance
Well, you'd have to remember, you'd have to do it in a contractual arrangement, because the law says if you opt out, you get a piece of it back.
Our contract employees are not eligible for it. Collective negotiations are not, only municipal employees if they choose.
Under Chapter 78.
No, actually under our borough ordinance.
So,
husband and wife were in the same system.
It's different.
That's right.
So that's not. One of the employees does not work for government,
And works in corporate America.
corporate America, and the other employee works here. I don't understand why it wouldn't be in our best interest to give them a small payment to get them to go on their spouse's corporate insurance rather than...
because, right, I think what the documentation is saying here, if I'm wrong, is that because they have to contribute to their health benefits are no longer free. So the cost of contributing to benefits for the benefit of a copay, it doesn't make sense. So we're offering them a cash incentive instead of a cash outlay. When there was no contribution to benefits, then that made sense. But now they have to contribute to the cost of their benefits, and what they're saying is that the idea of maintaining two insurance coverages has all but disappeared. So we're offering that benefit for no reason. Well, I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you're both saying the same thing. I'm kind of saying the same thing.
And I thought you said the opposite way, so I apologize. So we're saying...
Yeah, but remember, Chapter 78 allows it. This is the state controller's office saying, have you had this discussion? Because obviously, in my mind, when I see questions like this, and this is kind of the first blush with them, this is where they'll float the ideas. I think they're going to float, this is an idea that they're floating, that they're suggesting that you make sure you think about this when you're negotiating, when you're talking about this.
I don't know if I buy it.
It's not required, Councilman.
No, I know. I don't know if I buy the argument that we're saving money by taking that away. I think Mr. Esper makes a fair point. It's costing us more money.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a young person that doesn't have been a doctor in years, I'll take the $5,000 because I'm not laying out any doctor.
Well, I guess. What they're saying is if you had to contribute $5,000 a year for co-benefits, you wouldn't do it. So
Right.
we're just throwing the $5,000 out the window. I don't know if I buy that. All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question? obviously available to the town.
Absolutely. Anybody has any other questions, please give me a call. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, we have no proclamations, presentations. Meeting's open to the public. Anybody wish to speak to the public?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is William Rupp, 654 Edel Avenue. The forces of fear, ignorance, and prejudice have been the scourge of mankind since the birth of civilization. Ethnic hatred, racial prejudice, slavery, subjugation of women and children, and religious intolerance have all taken their toll. Yet in each instance there has been those in history who have refused to go quietly into the night in the face of such forces and have confronted fear with courage, ignorance with truth, and prejudice with love and compassion. In this past century, men like Franklin Delano Roosevelt confronted the fear of the Great Depression by assuring the American public that the only thing they had to fear was fear itself. Or in Nazi-occupied Europe, where there were families in Holland and France who, at their own risk, and oftentimes at their own deadly risk, hid Jews from the Gestapo. Or during our civil rights movement, women like Rosa Parks, who said, "I'm not sitting in the back of the bus." Or most recently, Malala, a 17-year-old Pakistani girl who stood up to the Taliban in demanding that all females have the right to an education. Here in Maywood, back in the 70s, I remember the battles that had to be fought to overcome the fear, ignorance, and prejudice of those who opposed the construction of safe and affordable housing for our senior citizens. As a founding trustee of the Maywood Senior Citizen Housing Corporation, and later as its attorney, I witnessed firsthand the fear tactics used by the opponents who warned that, quote, out-of-towners would come into Maywood, reduce our property values, and increase our crime rate. Fortunately for Maywood, there are men and women of courage and integrity who put their reputations on the line in support of senior housing. Clergymen like Reverend Dan Reinheimer, Father Alan King, Father Burke and Father Walsh. Housing trustees like Angelo D'Onorsio, Art Fenneman, Madeline Sauerbrey, Bertha O'Brien, Richard Price, Tom Matullo, Howard Kaler. Mayor John Stewart, council members Tom Richards, Joyce Doolin, Jim Tuttle, Jim Panos, Walt McDowell, and Larry Rosenberg. Thanks to their efforts and the support of many other caring and decent citizens, Lydecker Manor became a reality. Now, some 35 years later, we see the forces of fear, ignorance, and prejudice again mobilizing to oppose the Salvation Army's application to use the former Lutheran Church of the Redeemer to conduct their worship services and to carry on the work of a church. These people spread rumors that the Salvation Army intends to open a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen, that homeless people will be loitering on our streets and in our library, that our children, homes, and schools will be unsafe. Facts are that the Salvation Army does not and has never intended to use the church as either a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen, but rather will use same as a church, just like any other church, with Sunday worship services, Sunday school, confirmation classes, adult Bible classes, after-school child care, perform marriages, officiate at funerals, and sponsor community service activities. Admittedly, the Salvation Army has a focus of outreach to those of our brothers and sisters who are the most needy and in need of salvation. To those who would oppose such outreach, I would ask, with what part of Christ's message to love one another, to feed the hungry, heal the sick, clothe the naked, or comfort the afflicted, would they take issue? Unlike the governing body 35 years ago that stood behind and firmly supported senior housing, I fear that there are those who now would seek to encourage and foster fear, disseminate disinformation, and encourage prejudice and intolerance in an attempt to pander to the fears of citizens to gain votes. To those persons, I would ask, if you do not care for the most needy of people, how can any of us believe that you could possibly care about us? This evening, I received a copy of a particularly veno email from our superintendent of schools, Michael Jordan.
Mr. Rupp, I don't want to interrupt you. I'll just remind you we have a 5-minute time limit, and you're up against it. So wrap it up.
While professing to support the Salvation Army mission, he states that, quote, strangers, I guess the new term for out-of-towners, will pose a threat to our kids, and that churches are inappropriate near a school. When did we consider churchgoers as strangers and a threat to our kids? Since when did a house of worship become inappropriate to a school? I've been advised by some of my supporters that I should not be representing the Salvation Army at this time, and that it would be politically expedient for me to wait. I fear that if I would yield to political expediency, what is right would never get done. It has been said that for evil to triumph, all that the good need do is nothing. I, for one, cannot stand by and do nothing. My name is William Rupp, and that's why I'm running for council.
Thank you, Mr. Rupp. That doesn't sound correct, but thank you. Anybody else from the public? Okay, we will close it to the public. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Public hearing on pending ordinance. Ordinance by title.
Ordinance 1314, an ordinance amending Section 169.1 of Chapter 169 and Section 179.10 of Chapter 179 and Chapter 330-20 of Chapter 330 of the Code of the Borough of Maywood relating to fees.
We will open the public for any comments on this ordinance. Seeing none, I will accept the motion. Move for adoption. Second.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroney?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Labray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 1314 be and is passed upon second and final reading. The Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
All right. Correspondence and report of Borough Clerk.
Today is the last day to register to vote, and our office is open and being manned by the deputy clerk until 9 o'clock, and that's about all I have today.
Borough Minister herself, Borough Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I have 2 closed session reports to give.
Committee reports. Councilman Linden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind all the residents that leaf bags are here at Borough Hall on the 2nd floor. You can come and get them to bag your leaves from the curb. Also, I had a meeting, and the mayor also did, with the DPW guys in regards to their wish list for new equipment. And over the next couple of weeks, once Roberta is back, we're going to sit down and talk about what we can fulfill on that list for them. That was all I have tonight.
And they're all ready with the, not to dare mention this 4-letter word, but they're ready for the calcium chloride, for our new calcium chloride?
The tanks are all on the trucks, ready to go. I think we still need to get the barrels of calcium chloride in, but trucks are ready to roll. Yeah.
All right.
Not that we're getting
any snow this year. All right, Councilman Maroney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a couple of announcements. Townwide garage sale is coming up this Saturday, October 18th. We have 72 families so far that have registered. The fee is $5, and I think we only have one more day, right?
I think so. I think
Tomorrow is the last day to
Sign up. I think it's also the 19th too. They're doing 2 days.
Oh, it's 2 days, great. There's a household hazardous waste still happening at Borough Community College Sunday, October 19th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Recreation Department is having a day at Jesus House Casino in Atlantic City on Tuesday, October 28th. We now have 32 seats sold and 12 left. And we are also going to Radio City, a music show, Tuesday, December 7th. And 38 seats sold. Only 3 cuts, so kids and 3 seats. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. There are 2 residents, one on Van Cleve and one on Clinton, that share a common retaining wall. So one of them called the building inspector because the wall, which was of a decent height, I think 5 or 6 feet, had collapsed. To his surprise, the other neighbor said it wasn't his wall and that it belonged to the gentleman who filed the complaint. Regardless, the building inspector found that it was a hazard and it was a safety issue. Both gentlemen pointing the finger at the other one and getting respective surveys ended up in court, and the judge basically ordered them to work it out between themselves and immediately fix the wall, and they wanted to take civil action against each other in a separate case. They could do so, but that the wall had to be fixed immediately. It's my understanding that the wall has been done, and the building inspector looked at it, and it's sound and safe at this time. We had an absentee owner on Cedar that lives down the shore, and was not cutting the grass or taking care of his yard at all. And we sent him letter after letter after letter, at which point a bench warrant was issued. The police, I want to say it was Wall Township, I'm not sure the exact town, went and arrested him. And he had to post bond, and he's going to have to appear in court and take care of the property. 2 of the new homes, the building inspector reports, are under contract at remarkably good prices. So that's a good thing. We have some new ratables coming on the actuals. And I had the pleasure of attending the American Legion Spaghetti Dinner on Saturday night. It was a nice time for all. And just finally, I wanted to echo Councilman Maroney's statement about the fire department at the last meeting. Last night I came home and my block was closed off. The fire police were at all ends, and I kind of came around the back and got into my driveway, and I walked outside to see what was going on. It turned out to just be a carbon monoxide detector, but I was extremely impressed by the professionalism of our fire department, including Councilman Fabray, who was there with, was it an oxygen tank or an air tank? It was like man from space. Ed Norton. But I got to witness firsthand just how professional our fire department, our fire police are, and our police department. And I just want to say thank you to all. Have a great
Councilman Messel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I also received an email tonight from Michael Zorkin concerns to the situation with the Salvation Army, and I would like to read that email for the public. It goes as follows. Please see below a letter from me on behalf of the Maywood Board of Education regarding the Salvation Army and its place across the street from Maywood Avenue School. It is my intention to provide this letter for reading into the record at the public meeting scheduled for the Maywood on October 27th at 7:30 p.m. in the MAS Large Gym. I write this memo on behalf of the Maywood Board of Education in response to the article in the Our Town dated October 9th referencing the Salvation Army. It notes that there is much concern regarding the location of this entity so close to the public school. Indeed, the Maywood Board of Education and I, as superintendent of schools, share the same concerns. As the educational leader of this district, I have multiple responsibilities, but not as paramount as the health and safety of the children of the district. This responsibility is shared by staff, administration, and the Board of Education, and it is the one absolute we live and work by. I have major concerns about the safety issues that such an entity will present to the school. Many have said that the issues stem from the fact that the use of the facility may include a soup kitchen in various meetings. Indeed, these examples concern me and many others, but are in no way the only concerns. The overriding concern is apparent. This entity will immediately increase the number of people without ties to the school, and in many cases strangers now being in the area of the school during times when children are unsupervised, both before, during, and after school. This presents immense safety concerns as the reach and scope of the Salvation Army is quite extensive and will draw many people for a variety of reasons. I commend the Salvation Army for following through on their mission and making a difference in the lives of many. I am proud to say that the very fundamentals of our great school district espouse to such ideas, including character, education, and community service. We are all very proud of the district's commitment to its own food pantry, food drives, Super Bowl of Caring, blood drives, and the clothing drives, as well as volunteer efforts within the community, including leaf breaking for the elderly, participation at community holiday events, and various parent-child-centered special events. In many ways, our district is a microcosm of society, and it is our hope to develop, along with our families, productive citizens. To that end, we indeed understand the need and function of an entity such as the Salvation Army. I simply and without conviction say that the location of such an entity is not suitable, nor is it prudent to be across the street from a school with children as young as the age of 8. I write this letter for the reasons I stated above, and because I, nor the Board of Education, were ever engaged with the Salvation Army when the thought process was undertaken to potentially purchase a facility across the street from the school building. I would at that time presented my concerns and would have hoped for a healthy exchange of ideas. At this time, however, I simply reiterate what the concerns are, and I ask for those in the position of authority to consider and or reconsider their positions. Indeed, the Salvation Army has its place in our society. I sincerely state that the place for it is not across the street from the school. Respectfully submitted, Michael Jordan, Superintendent of Schools. And just to note, I do not believe it says in this email that strangers in church were mentioned in the same sentence. That's my report. Thank you.
Councilman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As required by the Borough's insurance company to receive credit, the Maywood Fire Department has submitted its 2014 listings of all its drill dates. With regard to Truck 17, I know I reported at the last meeting some of the situations that were going on with it, so I'll just continue on. As I said, the ladder truck went out for an aerial ladder inspection. The pistons need to be replaced. While it was out, 2 of the 4 outrigger pistons were, they found they needed to be replaced, so they were done. And it was sent out to fire safety to have the pump relief valve repaired and also some plugs. And on the way there, it got into an accident on the highway. It sideswiped the barrier. No one was injured, and no other party was involved besides the truck. So right now, the pump needs to be retested, the aerial inspection of the ladder needs to be completed, and while it's out, it'll get the regular preventive maintenance schedule is going to be taking place, and at that point, it'll have to go out, and the side will have to be fixed. We'll find out what the cost for that will be. Saturday, the fire police are having a spaghetti dinner at the American Legion. Mayor, is it 7 or 7:30? I know there's 2 things going on. I think it's earlier. I think it's 5:30. That's right. I'm sorry. It's 5:30 and 9. Tickets are $8 for adults and $4 for children. You can get in touch with, I guess, Gene will put everybody in contact. You can touch the borough clerk. She'll put them in contact with the right people. And just lastly, let's say thank you, Derek, for mentioning that. And I was going to say this in spite of what you had mentioned, that while I used to fear your reports, now your reports have become my favorite part of this. As Maywood turns, I thoroughly enjoy it. Thank you very much. And with that, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Council President Ballerini.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From the police department, just a couple quick items. The October 2nd Beach Day that was widely attended by residents of the community and this board was a great success. Congratulations to Sergeant Wall, the rest of the committee for putting together an awesome event. They raised quite a bit of money for their community endeavors, and we thank them for all that they do. I do have one item for closed session. I'm pretty sure it's in line with what the borough attorney has to discuss. With regard to the planning board, seems to be the topic of the night. On October 8th, a special meeting was held to hear an appeal with regard to denial of permit to occupy the building at 471 Maywood Avenue. That denial was issued to the Salvation Army, as has been discussed in several different veins tonight. Due to an overwhelming showing, I've been on the planning board 16 years, I don't remember ever having a meeting have to be suspended because too many people showed up, but we exceeded the legal capacity of this building, of this room, and the fire code official shut us down. We did have, with anticipation of the folks showing up, we did have the opportunity to consult with the superintendent regarding use of the school facilities to accommodate a rescheduling of the meeting. We had 4 dates in October that were available. We presented them to both sides and came up with October 27th. So the 27th of October at the large gym at the Maywood Avenue School is the rescheduling of the hearing, which, folks, is just simply an appeal of a denial. The zoning officer issued a denial. The applicant is appealing that decision to the planning board. So I'm sure it'll be nearly as exciting as getting arrested, not on your phone, but should nonetheless be a good opportunity for the community to come out and hear exactly what's going on, at least at a high level with that application. So 7:30. Sorry, thank you for asking. That's it, sir.
Okay. Just a few things. As the borough engineer indicated today, Cleveland Field will start to be worked on, the retaining wall there. Today, the contractor started work on Big Diamond in Memorial Park. I anticipate that'll be done relatively quickly. I know it was there early this morning starting. I want to thank everybody for the participation in the Fall Fest this year. We had a great day. It was a wonderful weather day. It was great for all the families of town to come out. I wrote a letter to your town thanking various people that were involved, but I feel obligated to thank them again. Herman Hoffman, who's really gone above and beyond his service to this town in so many different ways, but came through with all the corn stalks and pumpkins and hay and all that stuff that you see now on Pleasant Avenue, and that was at the Fall Fest. Billy Jerwinski and Roberta decorated the corn stalks on Pleasant Avenue, and thank them. I thank the Maywood DPW, who worked very hard getting all that together. I know some of the corn stalks were actually green when they put them up, which led to people actually picking the corn off of the corn stalks. But I hope they enjoyed it. I want to thank all the businesses that made contributions to the Fall Fest this year and to the decorations uptown. The outlets at Bergen Town Center, Freedom Bank, and Malt Products were the major sponsors. They paid for all of those decorations themselves in their contributions. Also to Muscarelli Properties, Negley Engineering, HUMC Fitness and Wellness, powered by the Giants, Vicky Healy, Mario's Pizza, Uncle Luigi's, and the MIA, and their sponsors for all of their support. They made that day possible, and it's really a great day, I think, for Maywood's families and for the borough. It's really a borough event. I saw former Senator Cantillo from Paramus at the event, and he said, I didn't see it advertised anywhere. And I indicated to him that it's really a Maywood thing. We don't advertise it really heavily outside of town because it's really focused on the Maywood families. And I think every year that we've done it in the last 3 years, it's really worked out that way. So thank you for everybody who was involved in making it a great day. Public Service is still doing their work on Central Avenue, as everybody knows. I talked to the chief earlier today, talked to the Public Service people. That is still going to go on for another few weeks, probably. So I thank everybody for their patience and bearing with it. I know it's a big disruption in traffic in town. November 25th will be the public hanging of the mayors. So come one, come all. All the former mayors who are still with us will be invited back for the hanging, and Betty Fetzer will be presenting some historical facts about governing bodies in the past. So, along those lines, on October 26th, the Historical Committee is doing another bus tour. If you haven't done one of them, I strongly suggest you get a ticket and get on. It's really a great ride. Betty does a fantastic job giving the history of the town and going about some of the more notable places in town and letting you know about some of the tribute there. I think that's all I have. We want to go to the action list. We have two items on the action list. One is the zoning map and tax map update. I know we talked about this the last meeting or last work session, and we're still pursuing grant funding or funding opportunities for the tax map update. I think if everybody's okay, I'd like to put the tax map as was drafted by Negley Engineering a few months ago, or not the tax map, I'm sorry, the zoning map that was done based on the old tax map up for ordinance adoption, just so we can get that codified part of our ordinance. We do have a very good schedule that was added to the zoning ordinance, which will be maintained, which lists by lot and block the properties and the zones they're in, but it really helps to have it graphically so that members of the public can, at a glance, take a look at it. So if everybody's okay with using the old zoning map as the underlay, for now, I think we should move ahead with an introduction of ordinance for the updated zoning map, send it over to the planning board, get their comments, and see where we go. Comments or questions?
That doesn't include us going through some of the other things that Greg suggested.
To update the tax map, no, we'll ultimately then have to update the zoning map again, but if we go the route I think everybody wants to go, if we can find the funding for it, that would be an easy amendment, correct?
I understand what they're just reading for something that was a relatively low cost. There's not.
It was. They did it already. It's done already. I think it was a couple thousand more.
It's not done.
All right, so we'll move that one on to the next meeting. The next item is the regulating the care of vacant properties. Such as foreclosure, but it's actually vacant properties in town. I think Mr. Eisenberger brought this up initially. The borough attorney had kind of put together a draft ordinance, which I'll pass along to everybody. We can start to take a look at this. This is basically based on a statute that was recently passed by the state that allows municipalities to kind of aggressively go after vacant properties, the owners of those vacant properties. I guess usually occurs in situations where there have been foreclosures or abandonment of property, and banks or other entities take over and are kind of the absentee owners. Unfortunately, I don't think we've had a major problem with that becoming a problem, but there are foreclosures going on throughout the region and in our town, so it's probably not a bad thing to start addressing this.
Determine whether you go after the bank or the title or not.
Yeah, I don't think we can, to be honest with you, but, this is a put pressure on people, but we haven't been successful, not just here, some of the other towns I represent, it's a hiccup in the whole
If you
situation.
have the mortgage, I think you change your locks, rent the house, turn off the water and blood lights. So,
I hear you, and I agree with
if they're
you.
going to get back up the grass.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, the draft resolution, ordinance that the mayor just passed out, it's patterned after one of the new law put together, but the new law that was just passed, and it's really based on it starts with various attractive nuisances, and I can, you want me to read it into the
Well,
record, or?
you don't have to read it. I think the basic gist of it is that we require, or this ordinance would require a registration statement to be filed so that there is contact information for the building department, I guess, or property maintenance, so that they know who the person is or the entity is that owns the property now, even though nobody is residing in the property. That is extremely helpful in making sure that people cut the lawn or send them out. Usually, most of the lenders that I know and from seeing, talking to Mr. Mazur, once they are aware of the situation, most of them take some effort to maintain the properties. It doesn't do the lender any good to see the property go into disrepair, but a lot of the times it's a hassle to track people down and actually get somebody on the phone or find an address to send it to.
This is the benefit of the public. Call an 800 number. If you don't have an account number, it's almost impossible to speak to anybody. You sit on hold, half hour or an hour, and sometimes you get disconnected or you just never get that done. The system of all these banks is set up for their debtors to call in with the account number, not for a municipality. We need to be able to get somebody, 2 or 3 minutes, get to somebody, get it on a list, get the graphs done, and be done with it. You can't sit on hold, going through touchstones forever, get something like this done.
But the fines are $500 a day minimum, up to $2,500 a day, so, obviously it can become significant real fast.
There's also a registration fee that's required of $500 per year, $1,000 for the second year, $1,500 for the third year. It's modeled after the statute of regulations. And that kind of, I guess, gets the attention of a property owner to make sure that they don't, just maintain a vacant piece of property. They don't have to register it every year. I know everybody kind of just got this. Want to take a look at it, go over it again, and see, what we want to change, if we want to change anything, and then move for an ordinance in the future. Probably certainly worthwhile to have the registration and assist in tracking down owners of vacant properties. Again, unfortunately, we haven't had a major problem like that in town, but there are a couple properties that pop up every once in a while that become problematic. Good. Anything else to discuss? All right. We have no resignations, one appointment, Stephen Berkner, and 2 appointments, and Karen Savola as members of the Maywood Fire Police effective October 14, 2014. Motion to appoint.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Nestor?
Yes.
Sedgwick?
Yes.
Ballerine?
Yes. Resolutions by title.
Resolution 14614, resolution authorizing 2014 Bergen County Community Development Block Grant Award. Resolution 14714, resolution approving the retirement and corresponding benefits of Police Captain Stephen Hoffman in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey.
I'll move for adoption.
Second.
I want a discussion, Mr. Mayor, with regard to 14714, just some minor language that needs to be addressed here with regard to paragraph 2 at the very end. The last sentence reads, accordingly, Captain Hoffman is entitled to receive compensation for his terminal leave, compensation time, and unused sick personal vacation days. The borough does not compensate retiring officers for unused sick time, so that should be stricken in that paragraph, in section C in the 4th paragraph, and in the resolution language at the bottom in the very last sentence. It should also be noted, personal time, it doesn't really matter one way or the other, but holiday time is really the appropriate way to describe time beyond compensation time that would be due an officer. So with permission of the board, I would just suggest that we strike sick from the resolution and replace personal with holiday and vacation days as opposed to personal and vacation days. And last note, that we do need to...
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. There's three instances where the word sick is used with regard to...
I don't see two. What's the third one, right?
The second whereas,
The second whereas, the fourth whereas in sentence C, and then the very last sentence of the resolution.
Yep.
And replace that with, just, sick needs to be stricken, and I would replace personal with holiday, so that it reads holiday and vacation days as opposed to personal and vacation days. It's minor. I don't think it's material to changing what we want to accomplish.
Right.
I think it's important that we get this resolved.
but
Need a motion on language. Is that your motion? I want to move that as amended. First motion, I will withdraw my first motion. Make a motion to... And make a second motion. As amended. Second. Thank you. Thank you. Roll call.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Maroni,
Yes.
Eisenberg,
Yes.
Messer,
Yes.
Fabre,
Yes.
Ballerini.
Yes.
Okay, no new ordinances and new business. No business. Miscellaneous business, this being the 120th anniversary of the Borough of Maywood. I encourage everyone to learn about the history of Maywood, off to the Borough historian, read Ed Kaminsky's book about the Borough of Maywood, and take the tour on the 26th with Betty Fetzer. The trivia of the day, I guess. Some of Maywood's first homes were constructed of sandstone, as we all know, and see those homes are still, some of those homes are still standing. The Van Voorhees house on the corner of East Magnolia and Maywood Avenue, the Romaine Brinkerhoff house on the corner of Central and Maywood Avenue, built of sandstone, which purportedly was quarried along the northern end of Jersey Avenue, which was a quarry for sandstone, apparently, at one time. Allegedly. That's your trivia today. Okay, closed session, we got a couple items on the close. And the motion to go to close. These items are personnel matters. Are these items dealing with personnel matters?
They are.
Any second to that motion? Maroni? Roll call.
Lindenau,
Yes.
Maroni,
Yes.
Eisenberg,
Yes.
Messer,
Yes.
Fabre,
Yes.
Ballerini.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Mayor and Council Borough of Maywood pursuant to provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, Mayor and Council in closed session, discuss the following subject matters, subsection 8, concerning personnel. Be further resolved precisely as determined at this time, the discussion conducted in such closed session can be disclosed to the public upon taking no action thereon, provided that both should not violate the attorney-client privilege or constitute undue invasion of privacy. Be it further resolved, the Mayor and Council Borough of Maywood do not envision their return to open session, but reserve the right to do so.
Okay, you're in closed session.